Way back in session 1, we saw that the Bible was a big, diverse book written by around 40 authors over a 1,500-year period. And yet we also saw that the Bible was one book, one story, with one author, the one word of the one God about the one way of salvation. Well, in this session, we're going to look at what the unity of the Bible means for how we read it. Christians often struggle with this, especially with the Old Testament. We know that the Old Testament is important and is part of the one word of God, but we often feel a bit lost when we come to read it. We're unsure how it relates to us and whether we really need it. But ignoring the Old Testament is like picking up a good story only halfway through.
Hey, Tone.
Hey.
What you watching?
Finding Nemo.
Oh, okay. Who's the little orange fish with the flipper thing?
Yeah, that's Nemo, the one they're trying to find.
Oh, okay, that they're finding. Yeah, finding. Yeah, okay, get that. See that blooper? See that? The fish has got a bigger fin now.
No,
Look at that.
that's his dad, Marlin.
Oh, is that marlin?
Different fish, yeah.
Oh, okay. Gee, that bluefish is annoying though, isn't it? Keeps repeating itself.
Yeah, well, it's got like the memory of a goldfish, so only lasts 5 seconds, keeps forgetting. That's
Oh, okay.
That's kind of the joke.
Oh, okay, right, okay. Yeah, that's funny. It's a funny movie.
Yeah, no, it's good if you kind of get into it, yeah.
Get him to watch it, okay. What's with the fish tank? Were we in the ocean before?
Yeah, that's different scene. Yeah, Nemo's in the fish tank, Dad's in the sea. Looking
Right, okay.
Just stick with it, Dave.
Yeah, it looks like a good movie.
Yeah, no, if you get into it, it's good.
Okay. There's a puffer fish.
Do you want us to go back to the beginning?
The climax to the Bible story and the key to the unity of the whole Bible is Jesus himself. He stands like a colossus in the pages of the Bible. As the book of Hebrews puts it, what came before Jesus was like a shadow cast by an approaching figure. And once he arrived, we understood the reality that we'd only previously seen in outline. The Old Testament is like a set of plans or blueprints that shows us the structure and nature of what is to come. You can study the blueprints to see what to expect, to see what the final product will be like. But it's really only when you've seen the real thing, the finished structure, that you understand the vision that the designers had, what their plans and drawings were aiming at, what they hoped to achieve. In the end, the blueprints and the finished bridge are part of the one story. In this case, about how to get across Sydney Harbour. And in much the same way, the Old and New Testaments are one story, one word, about how humanity might get back to God. And if we think about the relationship between the blueprint and the bridge, it helps us to understand two key ways that the Old Testament relates to the New. The first way that the Old Testament relates to the New is as pattern and counter-pattern. And there are lots of these in the Old Testament, patterns or blueprints that point forward to who Jesus is or what Jesus did. There are people like Adam and King David, or structures like the temple, or places like Jerusalem, or roles like the high priest or the king, and there are events like the Exodus. So, for example, the elaborate sacrificial system in the Old Testament is like an outline drawing of what Jesus ends up doing on the cross. It lays down the pattern that sins are dealt with through blood sacrifice, and Jesus brings the real thing, the real place where sins are dealt with through sacrifice once and for all time. Sometimes we are meant to see the similarities between what happens in Jesus' life and what has happened previously. That is, a pattern is repeated in bigger and better ways. For example, Jesus is the king, the one who is like, but even greater than the great King David. At other times, we are meant to see the contrast between what happens in Jesus' life and events in the Old Testament. For example, in the Exodus, Israel spent 40 years in the wilderness, grumbling against God and failing to trust him. Jesus spends a symbolic 40 days in the wilderness being tested, but remaining faithful. Where Israel failed, Jesus succeeds.
And where was I? Do not wear clothing woven of two kinds of material. Polycotton. Oh, this one's too. I like that shirt.
The second way the Old Testament relates to the New is promise and fulfilment. The Old Testament is full of promises that point forward to what God is going to do to save and rescue his people and draw them to himself. It starts with promises to Abraham, and there are lots of other ones too that expand on this basic promise to Abraham. These are like the plans and specifications for the bridge. They promise that a bridge will be built and that it will be built in a certain way. All the promises of the Old Testament, says the New, find their fulfilment in Jesus. When we read the Old Testament, we need to keep asking ourselves, is there a promise here that finds its fulfilment in Jesus? Well, whether as patterns that point forward or as promises that await fulfilment, the Old Testament keeps looking forward to Jesus. So as you read the Bible, keep reading it through Jesus.